Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Can't Mayonnaise Kill a Jedi podcast. I am your host, the Artificial Dragon.
I'm Hannah.
I'm Kid.
Alright, and we're here with another episode, and if you recall from the last time, we're going to be talking about gods and deities in the Star Wars galaxy. Now, as I mentioned before in the zombie episode, when you look at Star Wars or any other sci-fi universe, you wouldn't really associate it with supernatural things like gods. That seems kind of out of place in a sci-fi universe, wouldn't it?
I mean, like, the Force exists.
That is true.
And that's somewhat mystical.
Yeah, sorry. You would think that it is at least a personification of a deity.
Yeah. I mean, like, with the prequels, you have Anakin Skywalker, who's literally the allegory for Jesus.
I was gonna say, he's a Jesus metaphor.
Jesus metaphor. Like, Shmi Skywalker just has this child,
and
kind of like the Virgin Mary.
And sci-fi is like, I mean, Star Wars isn't super sci-fi, it's more of a space opera.
Yeah.
Like, when it comes to, like, sci-fi...
That's the way I think about it.
Yeah, like Star Trek is sci-fi because it explains, like, the technologies. At least I think. I don't watch too much Star Trek, but...
They do a lot of nerdy techno-babble shit.
Yeah, like, sci-fi would explain how technologies work, how to solve the issues at hand, what the planet's composed of, how something breathes, the blueprints to something, theories of, like, scientific progress, blah, 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 that.
Yeah.
Star Wars doesn't do that. Star Wars doesn't explain its technology very
Not
well.
really.
Not in the movies, anyway.
Well, yeah, like, it'll be like, this sword just creates black holes. It's like, how? It's like, it just does. Or this gun shoots lasers. It's like, okay, how?
It's like
it just does.
It's like if you're a casual fan, you wouldn't know that.
Yeah. I mean, like, aside from the Force itself, you don't really hear much about metaphorical or figurative God in the Star Wars universe, at least in the movies or anything like that.
Nope.
You would see them in the background here and there, but not really relevant.
I kind of like space operas a lot, though, because it's like, it mixes fantasy with some elements of sci-fi that I really like, and they don't always have to delve into the explanations of how technologies work. They just do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that, unless it's just very out there. Like light speed ramming, that was really cool.
The only reason they did that was because it looked cool.
It looks cool, but it's very inefficient.
Yeah. It's very inefficient.
And it's just inconsistent. Like, why didn't they do that earlier?
Yeah, pretty much. But if you think about it, like in most universes that have a mix of mysticism and sci-fi to it, like Mortal Kombat, for example, we got the Elder Gods.
Mortal Kombat's lore is so stupid.
I like Mortal Kombat's lore.
It is so dumb. It is so weird. Like, oh my god, it's the only game where you can have a Marine with robotic arm. I think he's a Marine. Is he?
Yeah, he's a Marine.
Yeah, like a Marine with robotic arms fight a really weird, like, necromancer wizard. It's so weird.
Not to mention the numerous cyborg ninjas.
Oh, yeah.
And the Elder Gods.
And Elder Gods, and
it's like the Marvel...
And Shao Kahn.
People
Shao Kahn.
People think the Marvel universe is ridiculous. It is. It is so
It
ridiculous.
is really ridiculous.
But that's media.
I know. It's just... There's, like, no consistency to its theme, though. Because when you look at superheroes, you'll have, like, a theme. A Golden Age, Silver Age, Bronze Age.
Yeah.
Whatever, you know? You'll have... Like, what is your power? It's like you have mutant powers and usually technological basis of how they combat the superpowers or something if you're a non-human.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have like Marvel and DC, which is, oh yeah, we have gods, we have magic, we have aliens, we have interdimensional travel, we have multiverse theory, we have time travel, we have mutants, we have hell, we have heaven, we have other hell and other heaven, we have the underworld, we have Hades. We have Helheim, Valhalla. It's like, this is ridiculous. You have so many, like, universes.
But somehow it makes sense.
I guess.
Somehow.
It doesn't cap off. And that's, like, God of War, you'll have, you know, they're in the new God of War, at least Norse mythology. You have Helheim, the tree of
life.
Yeah, the tree of life, the multiple planes. But that's it.
Yeah.
In Marvel or DC, you'll have, like, 7 million of those things. Like, there's 8 afterlives, dude.
Or like the Source Wall in DC.
Oh my god. Have you ever seen that clip where Lex Luthor is talking about like it's like only a 12th level intellect can enter that space, and he's like, good thing I'm overqualified.
Yeah, he just jumps right in like yeet.
That dude on the chair kind of pissed me off because he's like that. It's like only a 12th level intellect can enter this space.
Okay, fucking nerd.
Yeah. It's like, behold the Source Wall.
Going on with other franchises. Of course, another famous example of gods in fiction would be the 4 Chaos gods from Warhammer 40k with Khorne, Slanesh, Nurgle, and Tzeentch. Yeah. And of course, the Emperor of Mankind himself. Technically, he's not a god, but the entirety of the Imperium of Man see him as a god.
Believes him as a god, so it's
exactly
weird,
what the Egyptians
apparently belief in 40k just makes you have things. It's like if you believe something exists, it'll just come.
That's one of the powers of the orcs.
Yeah, well, like that's psyker powers. I'm talking about overall.
Yeah,
you believe like. They wanted to make, I think in 40k, I don't know much about 40k, so the fans can correct me if I'm wrong.
I'm a little bit of a fan of 40k. I listen to this podcast called Adeptus Ridiculous. They're a lot of fun, kind of a basis of why I made this podcast in the first place. But if I was to describe the Emperor and the Imperium worshipping him, it's basically the Emperor saying, hey, I'm not a god. I may be a 10-foot tall, golden-clad god who's the most powerful psyker in the entire galaxy, who commands 1 million space marines, but don't worship me as a god, okay?
Well, he wanted to make everyone an atheist, but he self-aggrandized so much that it's like, what did you expect? Did you not expect people to worship you as a god when you were literally having the aesthetics of a god?
Yeah.
This is like... It's basically humble bragging of the high school. It's like, I've saved 1,000 children, but I'm a horrible person.
Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, so there aren't that many. Well, okay, I say that many. There aren't literal gods in the Star Wars universe. Like, I was talking to a coworker about this last night. Like, in our own world, like here on Earth, we have billions of cultures that have their own pantheon of gods, their own mythologies. I mean, it's a lot of people still worship like the Greek gods and stuff like that.
I don't think people worship them still. I think we look at that more as a mythos than an actual like. I mean, it was a religion back then. People believed it back then. But right now, we more see it as like a mythos and like things to use it in like fiction and stuff like that.
And of course, most modern religions today, like Christianity, have a singular god. Like, it's kind of arguable if any of those actually exist, but a lot of people do believe that they exist.
Yeah, well, like,
to each their own.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna judge.
And like, that's just here on Earth. If you have an entire galaxy that has billions of alien races and cultures, there's going to be a lot of them that have their own beliefs and mythologies and all that.
Well, the thing is, like, even on Earth, we don't know, like, we might have religions here, but we don't even know if there's life out there.
Yeah.
If there's life out there, they could have their own religions too.
Yeah.
We could have, like, possibly, like, infinite amount of religions.
Exactly, yeah. And, like, I'm going to go through 3 different categories. The first category is gods that appear in different alien cultures, and it's arguable they actually exist, but the culture / alien races believe that they exist.
Okay.
And number 2 are like individuals or objects that other cultures believe are deities. Like the Chosen One would be a good example.
Well, there was it was in the Clone Wars cartoon.
Yeah.
There was the mother and the father?
No, the father, the son, and the daughter.
Yes.
Yeah, and those would be the third category, which is godlike beings. Like, they may not be literal gods, but they have godlike powers that would bend reality or something like that.
I mean, what were we considering gods here? Because I'd probably consider those beings gods.
Yeah, godlike.
For lack of a better term, they're gods.
Exactly.
I mean, didn't they also have like a caretaker that turned evil because she wanted to be
That was
evil?
Abeloth.
Yeah, we'll be talking a little bit about her in this episode. If I'm going to be completely honest, Abeloth deserves an episode of her own because she is extremely interesting. Well, anyway, so we're going to briefly go over numerous cultures and alien races that have their own pantheon of gods or singular gods, whatever. So, are you guys familiar with Corellia?
Yep.
The Mon Calamari?
No. Okay. So, it appears in the Solo movie, but it's the homeworld of Han Solo.
Okay.
Corellia is basically the closest planet in the Star Wars galaxy is to Earth. Like, it's got a 26 hours day and night cycle. It's got numerous landscapes, a lot of beautiful landscapes like Earth does, blah, blah, blah. But the Corellians believe in their own set of gods, in particularly two trickster gods named Ivax and Keeks, which are named after nearby nebulas, which are infamous for creating navigational disturbances for any pilot that goes in there.
Makes me think of Loki.
Yeah. It's like,
Do
okay.
they exist? Or are they in the Star Wars universe, do they actually exist?
No.
Or are they just, they're
They're just fables. Like, oh, don't go in there, otherwise the trickster gods are going to fuck you up.
I can say
So it's
that.
like it's mythos.
Yeah.
I can say this because it's not religion. Okay, so their religion is not real. Okay.
No.
I can say that because it's not a real religion.
Yes.
Okay. Do you know what the Weequay are?
I've heard of them.
Hondo
before.
Onaka's race.
Oh, okay.
So, the Weequay, they have like that dried skin and all that. They kind of have that Arab aesthetic to it. Like, the native Weequay on their homeworld, they have their own set of gods that they believe in. Like, their main god is the moon god named Quay, and the thunder god Mshak. Quay is their main god. And you got Quay and Weequay. So the Weequay literally translates to the followers of Quay.
Well, no shit.
Yeah. I think that's a very nice little basis. Like,
We got big Quay and small.
and small Quay.
It's like, I follow Quay. Which one?
Yeah, fuck. Then they also had the god of war named Lor, Ro, the water goddess, and Siraquay, the mother of the gods. You got Quay and Siraquay.
My question is, like, where the Force even comes from. Like, what is it?
Yeah.
Do we even get... I don't think we ever get an answer on that, do we?
Well, in the movies, no, but
Extended media, yes.
expanded media and canon kind of taps into that, but not that much because
It's canon.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody's got to dumb it down just a little bit. And of course, you haven't watched Return of the Jedi yet, but I'm sure everybody in the room is familiar with the Ewoks by now.
Yes.
Yes.
The little murderous teddy bears that somehow bested the
The Empire.
the elite troopers of the Empire somehow.
That was so dumb.
Yeah.
People talk, like, look, I don't like the sequels any more than the next guy, but, like, God, people talk about the new movies being dumb. It's like, that was fucking stupid.
I mean, my coworker told me tonight, look at episode 2 as a buddy cop movie. Don't look at it as a sci-fi movie.
True. I mean, that's fairly true. So the Ewoks believe in this deity called the Golden One, which in Return of the Jedi is what they labeled C-3PO as because, he's golden and they, worship him. So the creation story is that once upon a time, the moon of Endor was nothing but darkness. Like, there was no sunlight. It was a pretty shitty place to live. And the Ewoks were a bunch of little primitives, more primitive than they were right now.
I mean, okay, debatable. Yeah,
debatable. And they were like living in caves and shit. It's a pretty shitty life. But the Ewoks endured. They're like, hey, we better be kind to each other, and eventually the darkness will break and we'll have a better life than we currently do in our caves. And the darkness breaks and comes this being in luminous light. And it brings forth, the creation of the land, the trees, the water, all of this stuff. And it brings prosperity. And the Ewoks got out of their caves, they went up these trees, made their own tree huts, and they worship the Golden One. However, the story goes like most things in Star Wars. One, light and darkness cannot, be dominant over the other. It's got to create a balance. So the Golden One knows that he can't stay because eventually the Ewoks would go back to extinction if the lightness, the light side, dominates everything. So he just leaves and let it keep going. That's kind of a Ewok
I never
creation
get
story.
this equilibrium thing in fiction, or even in Star Wars, where it's like one cannot overpower the other. We must be in balance. Like, but why?
I mean, it's kind of a philosophy. Would you rather have darkness like right now or daytime, or would you want to have both?
Well, I mean, I'm not talking about like this. This is just like light and night and day are completely different from each other. I'm talking about.
It's kind of a bad metaphor.
And what I'm
Do you mean like good versus evil?
Yeah, that's what I mean. I'm like, why would you want? It's like we must have a balance of good and evil, but why? It just seems fairly.
There never will be.
Yeah,
it seems like a counterintuitive thing,
But yeah. So aside from the Golden One, you okay there, Hannah?
Swallow.
Okay. Well, she's doing that. You okay?
Sorry.
So aside from the Golden One, the Ewoks also worship the Father Tree, which is literally the tallest tree on all of Endor.
So you're telling me if you cut down that tree and make it into paper, you're gonna be...
Oh my god!
Could you imagine just like some lumberjack on that planet? It's like you have these two, like one like Ewok father and Ewok son. It's like, this is our land and this is our massive tree, our culture. This tree reaches the heavens. It's so beautiful. And you have a lumberjack and chopping down. It's like, hey neighbor, I just chopped down this tree. I'm like, hey
And the Father Tree is guarded by this gigantic creature called the Gundak. This is what it looks like.
Why does it look fucking creepy looking?
Yeah, I know. Despite its creepy looking appearance.
Its eyes are staring into my soul.
Why is it smiling?
Its eyes are staring into my soul!
But no, besides its very creepy looking appearance.
How tall is this tree?
Let's, for all intents and purposes, taller than red trees in California.
I don't know how
taller than redwoods?
Yeah. They're like, 3-4 stories tall?
Holy crap.
Yeah, it's a giant-ass tree.
So they worship this one tree. Holy, okay.
Do keep in mind, the Ewoks are kind of primitive. They worship C-3PO of all things.
No. I'm not dissing them for worshiping trees. I'm more just like contemplating if anyone has ever attempted to fuck up that tree, or cut down that tree, or blast that tree with fucking missiles.
Well, if they did, they would have to deal with a Gundrak first.
The Gundrak's not bigger than the tree, though, is it?
Not bigger than the tree, but it's bigger than most Ewoks.
Couldn't you just...
Well, the Ewoks are tiny!
Couldn't you just fly over the tree, shoot the tree, then, before the thing catches you, just fly away, be like, ha ha ha!
I like how this devolved into you trying to dethrone a gigantic tree.
It's just funny to me, because it's like, here's the thing, if you worship a giant tower, you would have a bunch of guards around.
Yeah.
Like, okay, this is the worst self-defense system for your religious belief ever, okay?
Well, not to imagine, there's like a shit ton of dangerous creatures that are around that tree, so you probably don't want to wander in when you have gigantic...
I know, but like, do the Ewoks have a lot of ships or no?
No.
Okay, so, what I'm talking about. So like, if you try to like, mess up like, any place's monuments, like Paris's,
like the Eiffel Tower.
Eiffel Tower.
America's Statue of Liberty, or any of like the monuments around the world, we have armies and self-defense systems to prevent those things happening. So if you're trying to fly your plane and shoot down like the Eiffel Tower, the French Air Force will come in. But the Ewoks and the fucking don't have that. So you have this giant ass fucking tree. You can just go in with the sun crushers and shit.
Oh my god!
Shit on that tree, blow would laugh at the Ewoks, be like, fuck you, and then just fly away.
Oh, fuck.
When you brought in the Sun Crusher, I'm just imagining Tyler one just, fuck you, tree!
Do the Ewoks worship anything
No,
else?
I want to see an episode of Star Wars, or like they're remaking it.
Yeah.
Where they go to that planet just to fuck up that tree. That's gonna be funny as hell.
So the Ewoks do have other gods. Okay. There's if you guys didn't know, there's an actual Ewok TV show where it's very cartoon style.
Oh, that's horrible.
Yeah.
Is that like a replica of the gummy bears?
I don't know. But in the TV show, they have the gods that are literally, there, just chilling out along with the Ewoks.
I hope that tree gets I hope that tree gets blasted. That's gonna be so funny. No, could you imagine? It's like oh
My God. Okay.
Anyway.
Moving on from the Ewoks. Yeah, they had other gods, but I'm not going to talk about the Ewok TV show because that's another rabbit hole I have to dive into.
I totally forgot there was an Ewok show.
Yeah. I heard it's not that great. They have literally a crying mountain in that TV show.
I'm seeing if it's on Disney. I think it's on Disney.
Yeah, I think it's on Disney along with Star Wars Droids.
Fucking tree huggers!
Which is a nice little segue because the Droids also technically have a deity that they worship.
The Droids have a religion?
They're not sentient! Why?
Well, some of them are. Some of them will gain sentience. Sentience is just like the ability to self-reflect, feel things, and have emotion,
Yeah.
And
I know, like a lot of people in Star Wars look at droids in the same way that we look at artificial intelligence or something like that, or a car or something.
If it can feel pain, express emotions, feel things, and have consistency with itself, and be self-aware, and have self-reflection, then it has consciousness.
Yeah. So, how, most droids, C-3PO or something like that, they're all like, oh, thank the Maker. Like how we say, oh, thank God.
Well, yeah, at that point, wouldn't the Maker just be the factory?
I was going to say.
There's that. So, as with any individuals, each droid has their own interpretation of what the creator is. They're also known as the one who creates. Some droids believe that they're responsible for simply changing simple machines like, microphones or a microwave or something and create them into the first intelligent creations, which is the first droid or something like that.
Yep.
And then many others believe that the Maker was the first droid who went on to create other droids.
But then who made that droid? Yeah.
Like I said, different interpretations on the same thing. And it's also kind of a curious phenomenon because with each droid, each one of them has their own beliefs of the Maker. It's not like either A, it was passed on from a older droid and they told him about the creator, or number 2, the manufacturer just purposefully include the knowledge of the Maker into the droid to make them easier to control. So it's kind of like, how most religions believe in a god and, they restrict themselves to certain guidelines or something like that.
Yeah, like certain rules, like some religions won't allow you to eat beef because the cow is sacred.
Yep.
Some religions won't allow you to eat specific, meats or wear specific clothes with specific materials, stuff like that.
It's kind of an interesting outlook because even the droids have gods, even if it's purposeful or not, it's still an interesting thing to think about.
Reprogram their religion to believe in only one thing, and that is your divinity.
Your divinity. Hannah's answering a phone call. Don't worry, she'll be back soon. Also, the Mandalorians have their own pantheon of gods.
Well, yeah, I would expect it's probably some warrior god situation.
I assume you have your phone with you, kid?
Yes, but my data's low, so I don't have my data on.
Alright, are you connected to the Wi-Fi?
No.
Okay, I'll show you. So, the Mandalorians believe in 3 gods. Let me just pull up a picture for you guys to look at first. There you go. This is the Mandalorian pantheon of gods.
I see the inspiration for their masks now.
Yeah.
So, okay, the one on the right has the T mask, and the one in the middle has the T mask as well. The one on the left has the T mask, but with like 2 divots on the side. Yeah. That's really cool.
Yeah, it's really, really cool looking.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, and so the gods from left to right. So we got the Harangir, the destroyer god, basically their war god. Seram, the sloth god, and Hod Haran, the trickster god. So, like, in the ancient past of the Mandalorians, they believed in these 3 gods. They mostly follow Harangir because, the Mandalorians love their good old wars against anybody and anything.
They just like fighting.
They just love fighting a lot. So, like, they see Harangir as the god of change. Like, you know how, like, most people encourage forest fires to burn down a forest and allow it to regrow?
Yeah, well, like, it's also to prevent there to be so much trees close together.
Yeah.
So it's like a controlled fire.
Yeah.
So it doesn't spread further to like all of the trees and stuff.
Yeah, that's kind of like their outlook with war, because they see it as it will allow societies to change and grow better from the war that we create or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
In opposition, there was a Seram, the sloth god, who is the embodiment of stagnation, and the Mandalorians are basically all like, being lazy is cringe. But, they have their pantheon of gods, but along the lines, the Mandalorians decided worshipping God is cringe, and they decided to abandon their religion and do war for themselves instead of for a god, if that makes any sense.
Makes sense.
Yeah. It's really interesting to think that these warrior people were, once upon a time, very religious, very devout believers.
I mean, what is it like now? Do people on Mandalore in like the current era of Star Wars like still believe in such things? Or
I mean, there are a couple of hidden remnants of Mandalorians that still believe in the old ways, much in the same way that Death Watch believes in the old ways of Mandalore and all that. Yeah. What was that phone call about, Hannah?
Oh, it was just my Nana.
Okay. You want me to bring you up to speed about the Mandalorian gods?
That's okay.
Okay.
I was listening.
Okay, cool. Didn't want to make sure you didn't miss anything.
So there's basically a god of war and a god of sloth and a god of trickery.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting that the Mandalorians even have a god of tricksters to begin with.
I'm shocked that you have a god of sloth.
Yeah.
Laziness is cringe.
I thought it would be war,
and more war.
war.
Like you said, small brain species.
Yeah. Smoothest of brain.
Yeah, it just makes me think Aries times 10.
Yeah. Alright,
Sometimes I really don't like how ridiculous these fucking these like the lore of Star Wars or any fictitious universe can be. It's like the Mandalorians killed a planet full of dinosaurs on it. It's like, okay. Here's the thing. It's so ridiculous, I'm not fazed by it anymore. Because here's the thing.
It's just like
you've upped the stakes and you've upped like the ridiculousness so much. I can't take you seriously, and I don't see that as impressive. I just see that as another thing in Star Wars.
Yeah.
You know?
it's like that meme I think we put in like the first episode. Just why?
Yeah, why?
But no. So you guys know what the Trandoshans are, right?
Yep.
A giant reptile people.
Scorekeeper.
Yeah,
I forgot about her.
The Scorekeeper. So we have a singular goddess called the Scorekeeper, who watches over all Trandoshans who go out and hunt. And for each kill or job that they do and succeed in, they are gifted Jaganite points, which is basically like a figurative tally mark on each Trandoshan in their lifetime. Like, if you get a certain amount of Jaganite points, you basically go to heaven when you die.
And if you don't get enough, you just go to hell?
Well, I probably, but
what type of fucking incentive motive is this shit?
So, like, I think the Trandoshans are pretty interesting because a lot of people like to see Trandoshans as these code killing machines who just go around and kill Wookiees or whatever. But that's just the extreme part of Trandoshan culture.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Scorekeeper could reward you Jagged points for hunting the best recipe, or hunting enlightenment in the Force, or hunting some sort of accomplishment in life. Like,
oh my god, they're literally hunters from Hunter x Hunter.
And like the more prestigious and rare your accomplishments, or if you want to go to the extreme Trandoshans, rare the target is, then you would get twice the amount of Jagged points.
You can hunt anything as long as you're doing a type of hunt, but it doesn't have to be a person.
No, that's the extreme part of Trandoshan culture. Sorry.
What's it
So you can be like, rather than be like a bounty hunter or a human hunter or a mortal hunter of any kind, you can be like, I'm hunting the tastiest ice cream.
Yeah, exactly. Or for a Jedi, I'm hunting for the best Force ability or something like that.
Or I'm a hunter that hunts hunters who hunt hunters. It's so
a serial killer.
Yeah, or
try to say that 2 times fast.
Serial killer.
Or
serial killer.
you're hunting something that doesn't exist. I don't know. So if the more rare it is, the more points you're assigned.
Yeah.
So if you're able to get the tastiest flavored ice cream that no one has ever gotten their hands on, and you're able to actually attain it, show proof of it, and you don't let anyone have it, and it's like the only thing in Star Wars, like this is the only flavor of ice cream that's ever existed in the entire history of the Star Wars mythos, and its flavor is, I don't know, like Banana-Rama awesomeness or something. How many points would you be awarded? Would you just be awarded like infinite points or some shit?
I mean, I would assume, yes, a greater amount of points than normal, but for all intents and purposes, it's greater than usual.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine, like, you killed, like, 8 Jedi, you're awarded, like, 70 points?
Yeah.
And then some asshole comes in, like, who hunted for, like, the rarest fur coat, and he gets, like, 7,000 points, because it's, like,
shit.
It's like, what the fuck?
And, like, failure is quite high. Like, if a hunter is shamed or is captured in the middle of a hunt, they lose all of their Jagged points.
That's shitty.
That is stupid.
Yeah.
Could you imagine? It's like, I killed like 70 Jedi though. And it's like, yeah, but you got captured. Yes,
Fuck!
Yes, on purpose to kill 300 Jedi. You lose all 370 points.
But no, I know it's kind of stupid, but
it's
very stupid.
It's so stringent and strict for no reason.
I mean, it's
that's
still
the
an
tradition.
interesting culture.
Kind of.
An interesting religion.
I remember my consular in
Switor, yeah.
Yeah.
Your first companion literally is a Trandoshan.
Yes. And there are points where you do get to talk to him about the Scorekeeper.
Yeah.
And there's also a point where like he goes through the molt or something.
Yeah.
It's like, just like the character side missions.
Yeah.
So wait, if you get captured, you have to report that you've gotten captured?
Well, I mean, technically you could, but, you know, the Scorekeeper is watching. You can't lie to that.
Wait, what do you mean they're watching? Oh,
the Scorekeeper's always watching.
I mean,
it's just like how God is watching over us.
Yeah. Like, don't sin, God is watching.
It's just so unreasonable. It's like, could you...
I mean, with most religions, it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah, not to this fucking extent.
With the Abrahamic religions, yes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, exactly.
You were born, smite.
Anyway.
Okay. So, the Hutts, once upon a time, worship gods.
They have gods!
Big oily
The quotation marks.
Money's their god.
So, now,
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it was... Okay, you played Switor, so it's probably apparent anyway. So, now Hutta, their current homeworld, was their adoptive homeworld. Their original homeworld was this swampy world called Varro, and it was surrounded by 2 suns, Ardos and Avona, and that's their 2 gods.
Okay.
The suns?
Yeah, they worship the suns.
You know, I really want to see a hut with the give them all fucking cannibal fumes. Like that. That's really very nice.
Like Italian monster.
Yeah, we don't hear that though. They're just like they have heavy breathing and weird like raspy like gurgle noises and shit.
And like the ancient huts are kind of insane. Like, you know, we see huts today as these fat ass slugs that just let everybody else do the work. But back in their ancient days, they were actually very respectful warriors. Like, they had like weapons. They like moved around. They had suits of armor and
They were jacked?
Yep, they were pretty jacked.
I've seen.
Yep. But
what happened?
So sometime in the ancient past, I don't know what it was exactly, but some catastrophe led to the near destruction of their home world, and they had to get the fuck out of there.
And that catastrophe was known as Deities. And
like, both of their sons, basically, one of them just went kaput, and the other went transformed into a dwarf star or something like that. Basically, just collapsing on itself.
That's what suns do.
Little did they know the reason those 2 suns disappeared and one turned into a dwarf star that was going to blow everything up was because Tyler 1 drove the sun across those planets.
He picked up a dark staff.
Naga Sadao just
supernova the star.
Dude, if that's the lore reason, I'd lose my shit. Naga Sadao, after fighting the Jedi Order with his illusions bullshit, gets knocked out of the illusions, screams, "What have you done?" Goes into his Sun Crusher. Doesn't go to his Sun Crusher because he has goes into his ship, fucks up, blows up a bunch of stars.
And that's how
and apparently 2 of those stars so happen to be the Hutt stars. If that's the lore, I would lose my shit. That'd be so funny. It's perfect. No, it's such.
It makes sense.
It makes sense. It's so perfect. You just have Naga sit down, being like, "How the fuck do I get out of this jet?" Blows up 2 fucking stars, snaps his finger. The Hutts are like, what a beautiful day. What the fuck is happening?
Oh shit! That would be fucking
if they
great.
interconnected that, no, it makes too much sense if they just interconnected.
It makes too much sense, exactly.
When we do an episode on the Hutts, we'll probably go through the history, but that would be fucking perfect.
It would all line up. It would all come full circle.
So, you know.
Hey, Lucasfilms.
So, you know, the Hutts got the fuck out of Dodge. They occupied Nalhada. But as a result of this catastrophe, so you know how most Hutts see themselves as these powerful divine beings and whatever. They own the criminal empires and all that.
Yeah.
They're kind of they see themselves as the center of the universe because by the mere fact of getting the fuck out of Dodge and surviving the destruction of their gods, they see themselves as superior to the gods that they once worshipped because they're still around.
And the gods aren't.
Yeah, that's why you see all these Hutts as
being worshipped like kings.
Yeah, exactly.
How many of them are even left, then?
A pretty sizable amount of Hutts.
Okay.
Most of them just run criminal empires because that's the life that they know. When we do a video about the Hutts, they own a lot of client races and all that. And if a Hutt is born in the criminal empire, they can't exactly pursue another life of their own because they would have to.
Are all Hutts just mob bosses? Holy shit.
I mean, like Rhoda.
Rhoda. I mean, a lot of that's kind of a speciesism thing with Hutts. All of them are mob bosses, but not all of them own criminal enterprises or anything.
Well, it's like
that.
Dr. Orgrim from SWTOR.
Yeah.
He's a doctor. He's not a criminal.
Yeah. Yeah, some Hutts are actually very respectable citizens.
They look fucking nasty.
They do!
Well, some of them could look very buff if they really wanted to.
But they don't.
So, in canon, there's this one named Hutt called Grakkus the Hutt, and he's this jacked-looking motherfucker. There's this famous line...
I'm gonna Google it.
Yeah. So, there's this famous line where a bunch of stormtroopers raid his castle or whatever, and he owns, like, this arena or whatever, and he's all, like, to the stormtroopers, he grabs one by the head, and he's like... The only dangerous beast in Grakkus' arena is no beast. It is Grakkus the Hutt himself, and he just chucks him aside.
What the fuck? Holy shit!
Yeah.
He's fucking ripped!
What the fuck? It's like Hulk just ate. It's like oh my god.
It's like Hulk is wearing Jabba as a meat suit.
Yeah, like what the fuck? Holy what the fuck? He's huge.
And if you look around his neck, he has a necklace of lightsabers.
Oh my god. Fuck.
Yeah, don't.
Jesus.
Can you lift, bro?
Your average fat Hutt, your average buff Hutt enjoyer.
The virgin Hutt, the Chad Hutt.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Somebody should make that a meme now. Oh Christ. Okay. So
he's fucking oh god, like he was fucking yeah.
Hutts are fucking awesome sometimes.
What other cultures?
There's many others, but
Dude, the Churguda?
Huh?
Dude, the Churguda?
Not that I remember off the top of my head. Again, I don't want to go through every culture that has gods because that would be a long-ass episode.
I was just curious.
But, yeah, I don't know if the Twi'leks have a god of any sort, but I'll have to get back into the Twi'lek lore when I get a chance.
I said Churguda, not Twi'lek.
Oh, god damn it. Shut up, they both have Leku.
I'm guessing, like, the Jedi and the Sith don't really have a religion, it's more just...
Well, I mean, they worship the Force itself.
Well, yeah.
Or in the case of the Sith, they just... The Force worships us, damn it. But no, the ancient Sith also had their own gods. Like, there's this old Marvel comic where Darth Vader says out loud, by the ancient gods of the Sith, kind of like, oh my god, just sort of exclamation.
Yep.
But yeah, so we're going
So it's a thing, but it's not.
It's a thing, but it is not. Anyway, so we're going to move away from the gods that cultures believe in. We're going to be talking about the figurative deities, or ones that are physical but aren't actually gods or anything like that, or could be seen as gods. Like I said, the Chosen One is a good example of that. So speaking of the Chosen One, we're going to be talking a little bit about the Sith'ari, which is basically the Sith Chosen One. So we all know from the History of the Sith episode, the Sith'ari was foretold to arise one day, free of all restrictions, would rise to the pinnacle of supreme power to lead the Sith, and then destroy them, making them stronger than ever.
Wasn't that the king?
Yep.
What was his name? I forgot.
King Addis.
Yeah, King Addis.
And a lot of people like to say that's what Darth Bane is. He's like one of the many Sith'ari, because he literally led to the destruction of the Sith and created a rule of two. And if you think about it, they are technically a lot more powerful today than they were back then.
Mm-hmm.
Like, with a rule of two, you have the apprentice who seeks the power and the master who has the power, blah, blah, blah. And of course, we, as an end result of that, Palpatine, who is proclaimed as the most powerful Sith in all of existence.
Debatable, but...
Debatable, yes. Okay.
I mean, can fucking Palpatine...
Destroy a star?
Destroy a star?
If he was in meditation,
could he have made more? Could he have destroyed stars that made the Hutts who they are now?
It was me all along.
Fucking, I'm just fucking like thinking of Naga Sadao just driving by. Can you imagine? He's just in like this fucking Hummer or this really long ass limo. He's just driving in space with sunglasses on. He flips his sunglasses, sees two stars. He's like.
It's basically a drive-by.
Carrying on.
Speeds away. It's like, ah, bitch.
It's like that scene in every mafia movie where they have Tommy guns, but
A drive-by.
A drive-by, but instead of Tommy guns, just there we go.
No, he's just like knocks it out. There we go. There. Get out. Oh shit.
So this is probably going to be a common theme throughout this series. So in the Clone Wars, so there's this arc where the Blue Shadow virus was released, and Anakin and Obi-Wan needed to go to Aigo to get a cure for the Blue Shadow virus. So they arrive at Aigo, and the inhabitants tell them like, "Oh, beware of Droid. He's this destructive spirit that prevents anybody from going off-world and all that." And of course, Anakin and Obi-Wan were like, "This superstitious nonsense or whatever." So they get the cure and they go off. And
Where they literally meet an angel.
Oh, the Diatham. They're such an interesting race, but Star Wars doesn't give them enough lore.
Sadly.
Sadly. So they try to leave Aigo, but they find out that once upon a time the Separatists occupied this planet, and they decided it was a good idea to... Okay, so Aigo is basically a planet that's known for 1,000 moons. Like, there's a lot of these celestial bodies just surrounding Aigo. And the Separatists decided to use all of those celestial bodies and make a laser grid to prevent any ship from escaping. And a lot of the
Kind of sounds like the Naboo barricade.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, in space, it looks like a laser grid, kind of like this.
Yeah.
Hmm?
But this is what it looks like to the people on the planet.
Oh, wow.
It literally looks like some
like
supernatural stuff is going on
Looks like
up there.
constellations.
Yeah. Of course, obviously, it's not a deity, but to the inhabitants of Aigo, it is Droll. Which, if you haven't noticed, is basically Lord spelled backwards.
Yeah.
Then, of course, they made the angels, which is arguable if they are deities. They're physical, luminous beings.
They're technically myth.
Technically myth, which makes it so much funnier, where it's all like, oh, Droll, there's this, no, it's a laser grid. No, bullshit. Well, could we get past it? Oh yeah, you can talk to the angels over there.
Anyway.
Okay, this is kind of dabbling into, the beliefs of cultures and stuff like that, but it's technically something that they're worshipping as an ancestor. So, are you guys familiar with a Selkath?
No.
So they're a major race that were introduced in the Knights of the Old Republic. I'll show you a picture of these people. They're a bunch of amphibious-looking people.
They have weird faces.
I've seen them.
Yeah. So, their home planet is this place called Mayan. Mayan? Yeah, Mayan.
Or is it Manan?
Manan, thank you. Manan. And Manan, one of the special things about Manan, and one of their best exports, is this liquid called Kelto. Kolto?
Kolto.
Thank you. Kolto, which is basically the product that was used to heal yourself. Kind of like Bacta.
It's Old Republic Bacta.
Old
for lack
Republic
of a better
Bacta.
term.
And then it got replaced by Bacta because they saw it as superior to that and all that. So Bacta originated from this being called the Progenator. And it's basically this gigantic native Phyrexian shark. I'll show you a picture. So they have sharks on this aquatic planet, and this is what they look like.
They're pretty big.
That's big. Looks like a giant fish.
It's a very giant fish. If a Progenator, she wouldn't be the only one. She's like the mother of all these baby sharks or whatever. And the Selkath believe that the Progenator is their ancestor. That's the species that they originated from.
Baby shark do do do.
And of course, she's the ancestor of the entire Selkath race and responsible for creating Kelto. So of course, she's the center of great worship and spiritualism. So technically, she's not a godlike being, but she
pretty cool.
is alive.
That is pretty cool, though.
That is pretty cool. an entire culture of aquatic people that worship a mother shark. Which I think is pretty cool. Remember how you always talk about, like in our Sith episode, you were asking, does Naga Sadao go to the Eternal Empire system or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be talking about Zakul.
Yay!
So before Vishya decided to come down and, hey, you're going to rule me now. You're going to rule. You're going to worship me now. The native Zakul were kind of this primitive people, like, they still had sticks and whatever. And they had their pantheon of 6 gods.
What is it with, it's like, they were a primitive, it's always they were a primitive. It always starts off with a primitive group.
Yeah. So the 6 gods was led by Ezax, who is known as the ultimate devourer, or the god of death. I'll actually show you a picture because, yes, these gods do...
I remember them talking about this in the Old Republic games, Isaacs, that's how it's pronounced.
This is what he looks like.
He's a robot.
Interesting.
Yeah. So there's Isaacs, the head of all the gods. And then there's his wife, Sivia, who's also known as the mother of sorrows, the wife of Ivax. It's a good thing I have pictures too, because these are actual things that you can fight in game.
So they're giant mecha?
They're literally a bunch of droids.
I was gonna say they look like Japanese mecha.
And then of course 2 gods. We still have 4 more to go. And under them are their children Tef, the warrior god, Avelia. Sorry for trying to mispronounce his names. Avelia, the goddess of passion, Azeng, the goddess of envy, and Nuat, the god of apathy. And I'll show you a picture of these guys too. That's the warrior god.
Okay.
Oh, I like that design.
Yeah.
That's Scorpio!
You'll see the connections in a little bit.
Okay. Okay, so they're deities and robots.
Now, as you can tell, they don't seem... Well, okay, they kind of look godlike, but they look like machines, basically.
They're droids, basically.
They're droids. The 6 gods... this is going to be a common thread with the Eternal Empire. The 6 gods were droid superweapons designed by the Ayakaf race, the same people who designed the Eternal Fleet and Gravestone.
No wonder!
Yep. And were used to, they were basically used to exterminate unready civilizations to pacify, subjugate, and destroy them.
Wow.
And the people of Zakul were like, oh my god, these guys are so advanced and strong, they must be gods. Oh!
I mean, that makes sense why Scorpio looks like that goddess.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Okay. Now, we get into the juicy stuff. This is where we go to the iceberg meme.
Oh boy.
So, we're going to go to the actual gods, or at the very least, god-like people that were, were
gods in
worshipped.
quotations.
Gods in quotations. Okay, so do you recall in episode 1, The Phantom Menace, where there's all these human-looking statues on Naboo?
Mm-hmm.
So, those weren't made by the Gungans or the Naboo people or whatever. They are statues that were made by these alien civilization called the Elders. They were basically a spacefaring civilization that colonized the planet of Naboo in the ancient past, several millennia before the original colonists of Naboo came there.
Okay.
And it's also kind of funny because the original colonists, they came from this planet called Garomat, which is basically another Coruscant-like world. And they arrived on Naboo and they encountered the Gungans and they're like, hey, don't freak out, but we actually come from another place. And the Gungans are like, okay. We're like, you're not surprised? No, this is another Tuesday for us. So, in the ancient past, these Elder, not to be confused with the Eldari from Warhammer 40k, They are a Force-sensitive race that build numerous temples and statues throughout all of Naboo, and even their native moon of Rari, which, like most mythologies, it's just coincidence that all of these structures around Earth look similar, but you can't exactly do that when it's also on the native moon. Mm-hmm. So the Gungans and the Elder weren't really chill with each other, and they actually warred with each other. And at some time in the past, the Elders decided to just leave Naboo for whatever fucking reason. Some people theorize that they left due to negligence, like they had to deal with something else elsewhere in the galaxy, and they just left their structures to be absorbed by Naboo and its landscape. Others say that it was due to an invasion by some third party, like another alien race that they were at war with or something like that. But regardless of what happened, the statues of the Elders, it's kind of ironic because, they used to war with each other, but they were actually places of worships among the Gungans who saw the sculptures as depicting their own deities. And it's actually a place of refuge when, times of great crisis.
Interesting. Okay.
Kind of a Ancient Aliens feel.
Sounds like it.
Has anybody seen that TV show? Aliens.
Yes, my dad watches that all the time.
Well, in this case, it's actually real in Star Wars. So, of course, we have the Eldars. But they weren't the only ancient alien civilization that colonized all these worlds in the ancient past. Of course, in Star Wars, there's the most famous precursor race. They're called the Celestials. Not to be confused with the Celestials from Marvel.
Imagine.
Yeah. It's always the Celestials. It's always like Celestial this, Celestial that.
Well, on the bright side, they're also known as the Architects.
Okay.
So, have you ever played Mass Effect, Kid?
A little bit. I played Outer Worlds more.
Okay. So think of the Celestials as the Celestials are to Star Wars as the Forerunners are to Halo, or the Protheans are to Mass Effect.
God. Okay,
yeah.
Got it.
The Forerunners created the Halos and all of these advanced structures that the Covenant say were divine-like and all that.
Yes.
That's what the Celestials were. So, they were a civilization that was present in the prehistory of the galaxy, even before the Rakata with their infinite empire and shit.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
They were older than the Rakata.
So that's even before the Old Republic.
Exactly. This is pre-Old Republic.
So we read the ass long time ago.
a really
long ass time ago. Sorry. I can't speak.
So, the Celestials, otherwise known as the Architects, they were responsible for creating numerous artifacts and different anomalies throughout the Star Wars galaxy. You remember Centerpoint Station from our Super Weapons episode? Which is those gigantic space stations that can move black holes and shit. Yep. They created that.
Okay.
And they're responsible for creating several sections of the galaxy in the Star Wars universe, like the, you know what the Maw Cluster is? The Maw. It was where the Sun Crusher was made.
Oh.
That part of the galaxy where it's nothing but planets and black holes everywhere. Okay. The Celestials created the Maw Cluster.
Cool.
But just moving around black holes like it's fucking Tuesday. Let's see. And it's also theorized that they're responsible for creating most of the... you know how the Rakata say that they're responsible for creating the Twi'lek, Zabrak, and all that?
Most of the near humans.
Yeah. The Celestials, it's been theorized that the Celestials are responsible for creating a majority of the Star Wars races, mostly humans.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's why it's all human-centric.
Yeah. And you know all these races, they have the same body plan, like they're humanoid, and they have 2 hands, 2 legs, and, just very human-like.
Unless you're like the roly-poly race.
That is true. Those are the exceptions, but a lot of people say it was the Celestials that created this body plan for all of us.
Okay.
So some of their most notable creations, aside from Centerpoint and Cinco Station, they also created... so there's this super weapon called the Cosmic Turbine. I can't remember exactly what it does, but assumingly it destroys this certain section of the galaxy.
Okay.
I'm just imagining that in my mind it's just this giant windmill in space.
Good lord.
And like, aside from their mechanical creations, they also made a lot of anomalies throughout the Star Wars universe. So, okay, you are familiar with the term unknown regions, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like that part outside of the Star Wars galaxy where it's basically unexplored. That's why it's called the unknown regions. That's where the Chiss live.
And that's... Okay.
So you're probably wondering why you haven't heard a lot of stories of people in the galaxy going out beyond their own galaxy to explore the wider universe or whatever. Mm-hmm. That's because there's hyperspace anomalies which prevents people from going out there. And a lot of people say it's the Celestials that made a hyperspace disturbance that prevents people from going outside of the galaxy.
Weird.
It's kind of like in most open world games.
That's basically like a canon explanation to that's it.
Yeah. It's like in most open world games where you meet an invisible wall. It's basically like that.
That's so annoying.
I mean, it's not literally like that, but imagine like it's like the Star Wars equivalent of going out in the open ocean, but you're in the middle of a fucking hurricane. That's basically what it is.
Jesus.
And I mean, it's not impossible, but you definitely won't be able to hyperspace your way out there. You would have to do it the old-fashioned way.
How the fuck did the Chiss get there?
We'll do that when we do an episode on the Chiss.
Hey, fine!
But no, in all seriousness, the Chiss, there's many different quote-unquote origins of how the Chiss got out there.
I thought you were about to say orgies of the Chiss. I'm like, what?
What? Origins, not orgies, kid. Origins.
Now that's what I'm talking about.
So either A, the Chiss were a bunch of ancient human colonists that made it over there the old-fashioned way. You know, just drifting around in space, took 1 million years for them to get there or whatever. Or the Celestials created them there. As sort of these, I don't know a good comparison, but I guess border patrol officers. Just securing the unknown regions from inside and outside threats. I guess that's a good comparison for it. But, so a lot of people theorize that the Celestials created this hyperspace anomaly around the Star Wars galaxy, either to A, prevent anybody outside from invading the Star Wars galaxy, or to prevent someone from inside the Star Wars galaxy from getting out there. Because this was around the time the Infinite Empire became a thing, and they conquered the entire galaxy, and they managed to best the Celestials, basically.
It's always has to be something so right? It can't just be like it can't just be yes, the Big Bang. It can't just be like and God made it. It has to be the Celestials.
Yep.
It has to be something so fucking grand fighting something else, I swear.
Yeah. And some academics muse that the scales of the Celestials' technological achievements were so great that the entirety of the known universe throughout, the Star Wars galaxy, whatever, is probably a giant celestial construct of some kind.
Yeah.
In other words, all of that out there, probably created by the Celestials.
Wouldn't be surprised.
And little did everyone know, the Celestials are also force sensitive. I was like,
No. It's like they're called the Celestials in this part of the universe where the Star Wars galaxy is. Then they go to our own Milky Way galaxy where the Marvel universe is.
That's funny.
I swear. I'm never going to get over that fucking joke of force sensitive everything.
Yeah. And The Celestials are this very mysterious force. Like, we know that they exist because there are many alien civilizations that have encountered the Celestials. Like, their technology, probably not...
They're gods. They're just gods. You can't really know because they're too godly.
Yeah. We don't know what they look like. We don't know if they are humanoid. We don't know if they are energy-like. We don't know if they have a lifespan. We don't know if they're immortal. Whatever.
Since they're so high up there, have you heard of the Chartic? I think it's like the Chartic scale or something like that.
Oh yeah. It's like tier 2 is like being able to create galaxies or something like that.
Like, so tier 1 is you harness the power of your planet and your sun. Tier 2 is you harness the power of your galaxy. Yeah. Tier 3 is you harness the power of like multiple galaxies, which is the universe. Tier 4 is the Omniverse.
Yeah. They've had encounters with these other races. Like, there's this one race called the Cheryl race who were so... Most of the Celestials probably weren't benign. I mean, a lot of people thought they were benign because, oh my god, Celestials and all that. Mm-hmm. So there's this race called the Cheryl race who were so frightened of the Celestials and their technological might that they buried their cities underneath these pyramids, and they made a machine that literally drained their intelligence to make them look more primitive than they actually are. Imagine yourself like, holy fuck, those people are so powerful. We need to dummy ourselves down so they don't pay attention to us.
What the fuck? That seems like the worst case thing to do. Why would you do that?
And it worked because
this is like playing hide and seek, but you hide by killing yourself.
Yeah.
No. Imagine there's this college professor and you're like this super smart dude and he's like, oh shit, he's probably gonna be jealous of me. I gotta play dumb.
So stupid. So fucking stupid. It's like, oh god, my opponent has a gun. I'm about to die because he's going to shoot me. It's like, I can either 1, shoot him back with my gun. 2, run away. 3, shoot myself.
Just pull a Nagas down and run away.
3, I will shoot myself to seem like a non-threat.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. And the disappearance of the Celestials is another heated debate. Ever since the Rakata and their empire and all that, that's when the Celestials stopped becoming relevant in the galaxy. Like, they just disappeared off of the face of the map. Many say
they could just fucked off and be like, no.
Many say that the Rakata went on a war of extermination on the Celestials, which was collaborated by these. You know Vigri?
Ooh.
Okay, so they're one of the most ancient civilizations in all of Star Wars. Like, you remember Dooku's solar sail from Episode 2? Mm-hmm. That was a Greek creation.
Okay.
So the Vigri collaborated their story. The Vigri are so interesting. They have this unique way of saying things. Like, they call the Rakata the Soul Hunters. And they claim that the Soul Hunters, curse the entirety of the Celestials, whom they call the Ancient Masters. But nobody really knows what happened to the Celestials. They just fucked off. Okay. You're probably wondering where the Father, the Son, and the Daughter are.
Yeah, I've been wondering that the whole time.
Well, we're going to be talking about them right now.
Nice.
So there's this arc in the Clone Wars where Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka go to this search for this distress signal, which is like Old Republic era, basically. And they go to this certain section of the galaxy where the signal is, and they find this gigantic pyramid-looking thing that contains a world. And it's called Mortis, and that's where the Ones live. They're also known as the Gods of Mortis, because, of course, they're a family of... They're called Force Wielders. That's kind of their race, so to speak.
Because what else would you call them?
Exactly. Like, these guys are so insane. Like, there was this one moment where Anakin was all like, who the fuck are you? And he points his lightsaber at the father, and he's like, I'm so much more, you little bitch. And then he grabs his lightsaber barehanded and just shoves it back in.
Damn!
Yeah.
It just...
Wasn't there a scene where Anakin had to choose between Obi-Wan or Ahsoka, and then he just forced the daughter and the son to bow with his Force power.
That was kind of the...
I want to watch that episode now.
Yeah. It's such a bad... It's an arc, yeah.
I want to watch that arc now.
Yeah. It's so fucking badass. He just holds his plasma blade like it's a fucking toy. Just whoop.
So basically, they're gods.
Yeah.
Well, if Anakin can be stopped
For lack of a better word, they're gods.
If Anakin can be stopped by Dooku blocking his face with a chair, then I don't think that's that impressive. No. Okay, you've seen like not the movies, but the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
The Clone Wars cartoon, Anakin and Dooku are fighting, and Anakin's about to stab Dooku with his saber. And guess what Dooku does? He force grabs the chair and puts it in front of him, and Anakin stabs through the chair. But the end of his lightsaber, it's still an object, so he can't stab through it. So rather than just, breaking the chair with the Force or slicing the chair in two and then going in for another swing, Anakin does this, where, here the chair's in front of him, right?
Yeah.
He's trying to stab it, but he can't get the blade to Dooku's face. So all he has to do is do this, then slice. But no! Anakin is just trying to stab it into Dooku, and the chair's blocking him.
Anakin's a fucking idiot!
It's like, bro, what are you doing?
Anakin is a fucking idiot.
Oh,
So I'm not that impressed by that god theme. I stopped a lightsaber, yes, but if a chair can stop Anakin's lightsaber, that's not very impressive.
I just love the way how you belittle an accomplishment a god made.
It's like okay, you stopped Anakin's lightsaber. You know what else stopped Anakin's lightsaber?
A fucking chair!
It's like that Markiplier meme. I have a chair!
Anakin's lightsaber was stopped by a chair. Your argument is invalid.
Anyway, let me...
Yeah, this is the best part of the fucking episode right here.
So, of course, the daughter embodies the light side because, she literally looks like an angel.
The sun is the dark side.
The sun is the dark side.
He can literally turn into a bat, apparently. Like a giant
gargoyle,
bat.
actually.
I did a bit of research before the episode, and I remember...
Visit for Kit.
Yeah, I know what they look like.
Yeah.
I remember when we bought the Book of the Sith,
Uh-huh.
we saw that the Night Sisters believed in the Fanged God and the Winged Goddess.
Uh-huh.
That's the son and the daughter.
Yep.
I figured that out through my research.
Yeah.
So their race is just force beings, I guess, or whatever.
They're shape-shifting beings because, the daughter can transform into a griffin and the son can transform into a gargoyle.
Okay, I'm gonna power scale this. Is the father the strongest between the son, the daughter, and the father? Is he just the strongest?
Oh, he's like the balance between the light and the dark, but by the time that Anakin and Obi-Wan and Ahsoka arrive, he's kind of weakened already, which is why he wanted Anakin to replace him as the chosen one, as the balance between the light and the dark.
That makes sense.
Okay, so here's my argument
God.
Here's my argument as to say why these beings aren't God. Anakin's lightsaber was stopped by a chair. The Elder stopped Anakin's lightsaber. Therefore, the Elder, the father, is chair level. He's chair level. He's chair level. The father is stronger than the son and the daughter, and Anakin made them bow.
Yeah.
Therefore, all of them are chair level.
He's the chosen one. He's just a retard sometimes.
They're all chair level.
Yes, you heard it here, folks. The chair is above the chosen one.
They're all chair level.
You're all chair level.
God. Oh, boy.
Okay, so the entire backstory of the Ones, why they're at Mortis. So, Mortis, it's trapped in this pyramid-like thing. It's basically a dimension of its own. And it's theorized that's where the cosmic force originates. That's where the force comes from, is from this planet.
Interesting.
Yeah. And, so the Ones are so powerful that if they just existed in a wider galaxy, it would disrupt the balance, and they were powerful enough to, according to the father, tear apart the fabric of the universe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And all of them are immortal, so long as the father exists.
But if the father dies...
They die.
Okay.
Yeah. Aside from the father dying...
Wait, who's the mother in this situation?
Oh, we'll get there. So, like, as long as the father exists, they're fine. But if the Force ceases to exist, they also die because they embody the different aspects of the Force.
I like that it gives the Force some kind of personification.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, you remember the... so we're going deep lore beyond the Clone Wars because there's this novel series which makes a cameo appearance of ones and all that. So, you remember the Killiks?
Yep.
The insectoid...
They're so annoying.
The insectoid race, which were the original inhabitants of Alderaan and all that. I'll show a picture to Kev of what they look like.
They're a very annoying creature.
There you go.
Oh, yeah, you showed me.
Yeah. So according to the Feathered Hive, which is the oldest known hive of Killiks in the entire galaxy. Like, there was a point where Luke Skywalker goes to these Killiks trying to recall their history and all that. And according to these Killiks, the Mortis gods are, quote, the ones were what the Celestials became.
Wait, the Celestials evolved from being Celestials into being fucking...
The Celestials became the ones?
Yeah. According to the Killiks.
Okay.
Like, if this is a, what's a good word?
But that's just according to one race.
Yeah. And, like, they have a collective memory. I want you to guys keep in mind that the Killiks have a collective memory, but it does not make distinctions between fact and fiction like a human does.
Okay, so it could be true, it could.
It could or it couldn't be true.
There is no proof.
Yeah.
Okay.
If that makes any sense.
Okay, so it's in the air if it's true.
But the ones could be Celestials. They could be something completely unrelated. Nobody knows. All we have are a bunch of bugs to base that on. But
They're
yeah.
still chair level.
Apparently.
Oh, Christ.
That's no insult. That chair was a chair. That chair withstood Anakin at his most rage-filled, trying to stab Dooku with everything he had.
I'm surprised nobody's worshipped that chair by now.
Dude, that chair, that fucking chair, man.
Wait, wouldn't that count on Dooku's Force strength? Because he's the one holding it.
Yeah, he's holding... Okay, here's the thing. Like, Dooku might be holding the chair, but there's nothing stopping Anakin from forcing the chair against Dooku, or just slicing the chair in half and continuing his onslaught of slashes.
Yeah.
Rage-filled Anakin is a stupid Anakin.
Yeah, but
that's very true.
What I'm saying is, like, for example, let's say you try to, like, stab me with, like, a sword, and I use, like, you know, I don't know, like, let's say I block it with, like, a pillow. Like, you stab it with a pillow, but, you know, the pillow's still held on to your sword.
Yeah.
And you're trying to stab into it, but you can't because, like, you don't have a blade for your handle. So, like, your guard keeps pushing against, like, the pillow. All you have to do is slice through the pillow and then go for another jab or swing.
Yeah.
That's so easy. But no, this is like if you just kept pushing your sword through the pillow. It's like, this is not going to work.
Oh, we gotta make the chair is above the chosen one.
The chair is so fucking strong, man. That fucking chair.
That fucking chair.
Anyway.
So, like, okay. So, if I didn't make it clear already, the ones are pretty goddamn ridiculous. But I think I remember at the top of my head, this was like back when the Clone Wars was still a ongoing thing, and when the Mortis arc was still around and new in everybody's heads. I do remember there was like a what if scenario. I'm not sure if it was a fan fiction or something that a Star Wars writer came up with, but the sun had basically escaped Mortis to cause havoc in the galaxy or whatever. Mm-hmm. And like, he was so goddamn powerful that Palpatine, drops his guys as, the Chancellor, goes up to Yoda and he's like, hey dude, there's this powerful being. You want to team up and fight him? Sure.
No fucking way.
Yeah.
No fucking way.
Yeah.
No way.
Yep. Yeah, he's that powerful, apparently.
Jesus.
Yeah.
He's never gonna be chair. He's never gonna be chair Todd level.
That's a meme.
Palpatine of all people goes to Yoda and is like, we help.
Yeah.
Basically.
I'm not sure if it's like a fan fiction or something like that, but I remember that in my head, like, back then.
If anyone finds that link to that fanfiction, please link it in the comments.
But yeah, so the only thing that could actually kill the ones is this artifact called the Dagger of Mortis. And you just stab them, they're dead.
You see, the chair could withstood that attack.
Oh, Jesus.
We all know Chair Coon is the best fucking Star Wars character. He withstood Anakin's lightsaber thrust.
Okay.
And there's only 2 characters that withstood Anakin's lightsaber thrust. That's the chair, and that's Padme.
But she can't handle being choked.
Harder, Daddy.
You know, it would be funny.
How long is that now?
121.
21. Okay, cool. Okay, moving on. The chair is never going to stop, is it?
It'd be funny if Padme was getting like force choked in episode 3 and she just said like harder in. And then like everyone just pauses. It's very awkward.
No, Obi-Wan's like, the fuck?
Oh, shit.
Oh, God.
My cheeks hurt.
Okay. So we've already talked about the Celestials in 1, and them having a quote-unquote connection. I'll briefly mention Abeloth. So Abeloth is the mother of that family of 1.
But she's immortal. She's immortal, right? Like not immortal, but immortal.
She's immortal, yes. Originally, she was immortal. Not immortal.
Immortal.
Yeah.
So, like, she was just this normal person. I assume she's human. Who's just going around helping the father, you know, just like a motherly figure would do. Mm-hmm. And, you know, she grows old as everybody else around her is immortal. And she decided...
so they get married and they have the kids, right? The son and the daughter.
No.
Correct or no?
Or
No.
they already existed.
They already existed because, you know, they're godlike beings and she's just a puny little mortal.
Okay.
So, I can't remember what it's called, but she goes to this fountain, which is basically a wellspring of life for the Force or whatever. And she goes in, and it's what gives the ones their power or whatever. She goes into this pool to become immortal like them because, you know, she wants to be the mother to these.
She wants to be with her family.
Yeah, she wants to be with her family.
She's only known these people. And
yeah.
Like, they're the only people she's ever had, so she doesn't want to die.
Yeah, exactly. So she goes into this pond, and it did make her immortal, but it also made her uber insane.
Well, shit.
Yep. And that's where Abeloth was born. She's known as the personification of chaos throughout the Star Wars galaxy. And as I said, we'll do an entire episode on Abeloth because she's really fucking interesting.
That sounds interesting.
The next episode should be the chair.
The chair. I have a chair.
Wait, didn't Luke beat her? Luke beat Abeloth.
No. Okay, so there's a long story, but Luke did play a part.
I guess we'll cover that in Abeloth's episode.
Yeah, exactly. So I forgot to mention this in the beginning, but for our previous episodes, I have like normally 4 to 5 pages of notes. For this, I have like 8 pages, so like twice the amount as normal.
Jesus!
So we're almost there. We have like a couple more entries to cover. So this is going to be, I want you guys to keep this in mind. This is kind of old, deep lore. This is where we go to the bottom of the iceberg.
Oh boy.
So the Celestials may have been godlike beings who just have hyper-advanced technology or whatever and created the Star Wars galaxy as we know it. But there are those beings that are beyond mortal comprehension. So, enter the transdimensional being named Woru, who hails not from the Star Wars galaxy or even this plane of reality. He comes from this separate dimension.
So, the writer.
Breaking that fucking fourth wall there.
He's just the writer. Okay.
So, he is described as this cube-shaped blob-like creature. Think of a gelatinous cubes from
I was
D&D.
gonna think, like a slime from Minecraft.
And it's this blob-like creature, and he's covered in these golden discs, which acts as shields to cover his raw tissue underneath. I'll actually show you the only picture that they have of the dude.
They're really trying to make this thing in-depth lore-wise, but he's not part of the Star Wars mythos or galaxy.
I don't think anybody wanted to go down this rabbit hole.
There we go.
He's literally...
That's him right next to C-3PO.
Okay? He's just the writer.
Yeah, I don't think anybody wanted to go down this rabbit hole. Why? just why?
Okay, anyway. So, his insides is this thick and syrupy liquid, which is described as ichor. And it's like the Doctor Who what is that? The
TARDIS.
The TARDIS, thank you.
Okay.
He's bigger on the inside, basically. You could fit 3 people inside of him.
That's not that big. The TARDIS is much bigger on the inside.
No, he's yay big. Well, actually, he's yay wide, yay high, and it could just fit 3 people in here and you still have enough room. Anyway, so what makes him special, aside from coming from another dimension, obviously? So he has these healing abilities. Whenever he engulfs somebody, he cures them of all ailments.
So is he a benevolent entity, or...?
He's arguably benevolent.
And how is he a he?
It's the writer. It's literally just Star Wars excuses for the writer.
I guess.
So he was brought into the Star Wars dimension through the acts of a dying star, which, in a very rare process, the star basically crystallized. And this caused a large enough disturbance in the Force to teleport Woru from his universe into this universe.
What?
I know, it's a lot of mumbo jumbo.
How do you teleport someone from a existence without the Force into the existence with the Force in your dimension where you can only use the Force in your own dimension?
That doesn't make sense!
Wait, hold up. I'm gonna draw this out.
Oh, God.
Piece of paper.
That doesn't make sense!
Okay, so I'm gonna use some Marvel logic though. Okay, so you know the Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Say this is the Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah.
Right, these fingers.
Yeah, right, Visa's fingers.
So the Infinity Stones and Infinity Gauntlet can only work in this universe. Universe 1.
Yeah.
You cannot use it in Universe 2 because this has its own Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah.
You can't really do that. So this is what happened. One day, there's this cube. And this cube is occupying a universe without the Force.
Yeah.
So I'm going to write NF for no Force.
Yeah.
This is a universe with the Force. I'm just going to write F for Force. So, in the universe of the Force, you can use the Force in this universe because the Force only exists within the Star Wars universe.
Yeah.
So, Force universe, you can only use it in the Force universe because it's the only universe that has the Force. So, what these fuckers are telling me is the Force went into a space that doesn't have the Force, used the Force in the universe that doesn't have the Force, and moved the non-Force thing in the Force thing.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense.
That's dumb. That makes no sense.
What?
I'll put a picture of a diagram for the audience.
That's just writer's nonsense.
Okay, so anyway, I know it's a little bit of mumbo jumbo and hard to explain, but just bear with me a little bit here. So When Worrell, teleported in our own dimension, the Star Wars dimension, he was approached by this man named Hafiar, he's basically an Inquisitor that was trained by Darth Vader himself, and he's the Imperial Procurator of Justice, and he wanted to learn everything about the Force. And, Worrell wants to go back to his home dimension. So he decided to cut a deal with his Inquisitor. He's like, okay, I could tell you everything about the Force, and you could sacrifice people who are strong in the Force to me so I could gain enough power to make a portal to go back to my home dimension.
It's a major fucking fourth wall break, man.
What the fuck?
And Worrell apparently comes from a dimension which, the Force never existed, but there's this energy source called the Anti-Force that exists over there.
Oh. Oh my fucking god, this is so stupid. Oh.
And the only way that Worrell could heal people is by draining his own energy, so he's imparting his own life essence into people.
What the fuck? How do you cause a disturbance? This being isn't in the Star Wars mythos. It isn't in the Star Wars universe in the timeline, right?
Yeah.
So there was a star, that star collapsed, it crystallized and created, what's his name?
Worrell.
Yeah, Worrell. And how does that cause a disturbance in the Force if he's not in a universe where the Force fucking exists? But yet, somehow, the collapsed star was able to affect the Force in a different dimension?
Yeah.
What?
I know, it doesn't make sense. Like I said, this is deep iceberg
It
bullshit.
doesn't make sense!
I mean, you can't do that. You can't do that. The laws of physics in these two realms don't equate to each other. This is why you can't have, Marvel Universe 1 have specific, the Infinity Gauntlet, and Marvel Universe 2, which doesn't have the Infinity Gauntlet. You can't have the Infinity Gauntlet go to Marvel Universe 2.
And work there.
And work there. Even Marvel explains that you can't do that shit. That's impossible.
How does Star Wars make it work?
Oh, fuck. Like I said, this is back in the old days of Star Wars. Just to give you a perspective, this was before the prequels was made.
This is
no fucking shit.
This is like my oven-baked cookies. Ringing, when your ovens are done, when your cookies are done, the oven will go ding.
Yeah.
That's like if that ding somehow affected another planet's fucking another planet's orbiting around their sun, and the sun just exploded. What?
Okay. Long story short.
What?
Long story short, so in order to replenish his own energy, he needs to consume Force users, and, get his energy back. And, okay, so he originated from his novel called The Crystal Star.
If he's so powerful that his own quantum state can disrupt the Force, why does he need to eat Force users? What the fuck?
Anyway. So long story short,
I want off this roller coaster.
So this Dark Inquisitor asshole kidnapped the Solo twins. Yep. And
so this is Legends.
He is Legends.
Thank God.
So anyway, so Luke Skywalker and whatever rescued the Solo twins, and Worrell was so angry he consumed that Dark Acolyte asshole, and he, through his powerful Darksider, he managed to gain enough energy to create a void in the Force, and at the same time, the ripping of the space-time continuum allowed Worrell to finally escape to his home dimension.
Oh. Oh my god.
My brain!
Wait, how would you even open a portal? The Force would open a portal. The Force could open a portal. This is the portal.
Yeah.
But since the Force doesn't exist in this non-Force area, why would a portal open up here? It can't. The Force doesn't exist, so it would be a portal to weirdness. Ah!
My brain feels like mush.
Okay. We're not done yet, but we're done with Worrell.
Please be done. This finale. This fucking ass cube should be its finale, shouldn't it? Like that's like
it's the appetizer.
Oh,
what?
More
More confusing than this.
No more!
Okay, I'll go through this a little bit quickly, okay? Okay, so this originated in the original line of Marvel Comics for Star Wars.
You're telling me this fucker that this cube is it's not the finale, it's merely the appetizer?
Yeah.
That like this fucking cube is like what this cube did was basically just step on my foot, like you know those trash cans, right?
Yeah.
And stepped on my foot, my mouth open like screaming. He grabbed 8 pounds of fucking nacho cheese and poured it down my throat. That and you call that an appetizer?
Okay.
Now what?
I'll make this as short as I can. Okay, just bear with me here. It's weird. It's really weird. Just bear with me here.
And this came from the mind from George Lucas. Came from the mind of
no,
Lucas.
the people who were licensed by Lucasfilm to do stories.
Weird than a cube like this. Okay.
What fucking drugs were they taking? Because
Probably.
I want some.
Okay. So, there's this group of entities called the Bedlam Spirits. So there are these omnipotent entities that inhabited the planet of Bedlam. And they are so powerful, they are capable of manipulating time and space.
Okay, that's not as bad.
That's not as bad.
That's really not as bad.
Okay, good. Don't worry. It gets a little bit weirder from here.
It's like they mixed up the appetizer with the actual dinner.
Yeah.
This is what they look like.
Okay.
Weird. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So the Bedlam Spirits. So one of their members is I'm not going to go too much into depth because I don't want it to go over 2 hours or anything like that.
Just simply explain what it is.
So there's this comic book, Marvel comic book, where Princess Leia was being chased by these stormtroopers, and she goes to this planet where these beings existed. And there's this female member of the Bedlam Spirits.
Quote unquote female.
Quote unquote female. But she appears as this disembodied form, but she actually transforms herself into this female-looking form. Like, you know, she's this elegant-looking female. And she's all like, hey, I invented form. Yahoo! And, like, she like, they're kind of, they have, like, the mentality of 8-year-olds if you're not, if it's not going to be apparent in a little bit.
Okay.
So she like goes to the other Bedlam Spirits. Hey, I created form, and the other Bedlam Spirits like, no fucking way, we're so fucking jealous or whatever. And like she saw Princess Leia being chased by these stormtroopers, and she's all like, hey, you see those people over there? I'm going to do something to them. And she goes over to Princess Leia and the stormtroopers, and she decides to modify them, and she decides to crystallize one of the stormtroopers, killing them, basically.
Okay.
You know, this seems very lackluster in comparison to the cube that disrupted dimensions.
Yep.
Anyway, and another member of the Bedlam Spirits was all like, nuh-uh, that's not how you modify a race. This is how you modify a race. And he goes up to Princess Leia and transforms her heart into diamond, leaving the rest of her normal, killing her in the process.
I was gonna say that, but what? How?
Why?
Ah!
Why?
And Telephy, not wanting to, she was just looking at this dude and just like, no, you're doing it wrong. She goes over to the rest of the stormtroopers and she basically puts them into this mush of limbs and stuff.
Basically, they're playing with them.
Yep, basically.
Oh my god.
What? Oh, my head.
And like
this one's not as bad as the one with like the dimensions.
Oh, my fucking head.
I think Isaac should have switched these around. This one should have been this one should have been the fucking finale.
My brain feels like a car engine going out.
And like, you know, these two Bedlam spirits just, you know, using Princess Leia and the poor stormtroopers as little playthings. They just got bored and they're like, fuck it.
Apparently turning a rock into a fucking diamond, or turning someone's heart into diamond is somehow doesn't disrupt the Force.
That doesn't disrupt the Force, but opening a portal does.
a star blowing up in a different universe that's not even ours. It's not even the Star Wars mythos universe somehow caused enough of the fucking, like, the Force just felt a fucking tingle in its taint and was like, ooh, I don't like that.
And like the Telefi, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing her name right, but she was like, whatever. And the rest of the Bedlam spirits were like, hey, since you caused this thing in the first place, aren't you going to transform them back to their normal forms? You're like, no, I don't feel like it. Hey, you, splendid app, do that. But you're stupid, so go do that. Yeah, they're very childlike. And Splendid Apple was like, okay. So he reformed Princess Leia and the Stormtroopers back to their normal selves. But since he was, you know,
You said this was comics?
Yep.
This is a comic?
Yep.
They were smoking crack.
And like Splendid App, even though he reformed the Stormtroopers and Princess Leia back to their normal selves, he had this little quirk where he didn't understand time. And he accidentally sent the Stormtroopers 8,000 years into the past.
Oh no.
And the Stormtroopers just return as just ash.
That's funny.
Yeah.
What about Leia?
And then they just, Leia's fine. Yeah, they just fucked off.
Plot armor.
They just fucked off.
This is fucking stupid.
This is fucking stupid! No wonder why it's not canon.
But, so apparently from what I know, so you remember of a project that I mentioned a couple of times, Supernatural Encounters, which is this upcoming Star Wars novel.
Yep.
Originally, it's a official Star Wars novel, but it's quote unquote a canceled novel because it was originally supposed to be released on this hyperspace fan website, which got defunct or whatever. But it's going to be re-released in a little bit. But it's basically a book where it recounts the pre-history of the Sith, and the Bedlam spirits are actually main characters, and they like expand into their lore, into their characters, and all of that. And Telfi, that female who transformed those stormtroopers into mush or whatever, she's a very important character, and she's the mother of the firstborn children of this god named Tyajin, who becomes the god of the Sith.
Interesting.
Yeah, and Tyajin is actually canon because he was mentioned in the book called Smuggler's Run, which is basically a book for smugglers, and he's offhandedly mentioned as the god of the Sith.
No more god.
We've had enough.
But a lot of these are godlike beings, but if there is truly a god in Star Wars, it would probably be the Force itself.
Well, yeah, no shit.
Like, it's the source of all life throughout the Star Wars universe, and a lot of, in-universe, a lot of people theorize that the Force itself is alive. Like, not in the way that you and me are, like, we breathe, we eat, but it's, like, it could think, it could interact. It's sentient, basically. And, like, there are a couple of occasions.
Okay, go on, finish.
So, there are, like, 2 occasions that the Force actually fights back because, so, Verikata basically wanted to control the Force itself because they wanted to control everything. And the Force was like, I don't like this shit, and created a Force plague. Which basically means that Verikata can no longer use the Force.
Yep.
And on the second occasion is when Darth Plagueis, the master of Darth Sidious, decided to go to Tatooine and do a ritual to command all the Metachlorians in the galaxy to bend them to his will. And the Force was like, fuck that shit, I don't like that, I'm going to go create the Chosen One.
Okay.
We should wrap this up.
So, that's our 4th episode of Can Man Ice Kill a Jedi? Or in this case, can a bunch of bunch of drugs create some trippy gods.
Those aren't even gods!
There's only one true god of Star Wars, and that's Cherokee.
Instead of Truck-kun, it's Chair-kun.
Chair.
What did you guys think of this episode?
What the fuck? Just what the fuck?
I just think we should have left off at Cube. Cube was just like
The Cube.
Cube was so fucking stupid.
Well, I mean, it was a lot of fun before that point, right?
If you could describe this episode in one sentence, what the fuck?
Cube.
So, do you have any lingering questions? Anything else like that?
No.
No. I don't want to talk about gods anymore.
Okay. Thank you for listening to this episode of Can't Man Ice Kill a Jedi. You guys want to know what the next episode is going to be?
Please, something not like this.
Yes. Is it sabers? Is it sabers?
Not quite.
What?
All right, we we talked about a lot of supernatural stuff, zombies before, and now
I
gods.
swear, if it's gonna be Gods 2.0.
Okay.
If it's Gods 2.0, I want.
We're going to be talking about the Witches of Dathomir.
Yes!
I have no clue who the hell those are.
The Night Sisters. That's just one part of them, but still.
I hope that everybody enjoyed this episode as wacky and what the fuck moments.
I'm sure most of the comments are just going to be asking, what the fuck?
Yeah, as with all franchises, there's always going to be that deep glacier part of
That wasn't even a rabbit hole. That was a what the fuck? I don't know.
I hope you guys enjoyed this. Be sure to support the channel if you're watching the video. Be sure to give a like and subscribe to the channel. And I'm going to take us out. You got anything else you want to say?
Bye.
Chair is best.
Bye.
That's so stupid. It's like